In this video, we're going to develop the quotient rule using the product rule. And we're given this function q of x, which is equal to f of x divided by g of x. I'm going to follow these 6 steps in order to figure out what q prime of x is. So step 1 says to multiply both sides of the equation by g of x. That will get rid of this g of x and leave me with the equation g of x times q of x equals f of x. Step 1 done. Next, I'm supposed to differentiate both sides of the equation. On the left-hand side, we'll have to use the product rule since we have 2 functions being multiplied by each other. So I'll take the derivative of g of x, multiply it by q of x, and then add g of x multiplied by q prime of x. The right side is easy to differentiate, it's just f prime of x. Then I'm going to isolate q prime of x times g of x according to the next step. So I'll bring this whole thing to the other side by subtracting it. Now I have this q of x here on the right hand side, and I'm going to replace it with f of x divided by g of x, so that the entire right hand side of the equation is in terms of f and g. Next, they want me to express the right-hand side using a common denominator, which means I need to add f prime of x to this grouping of terms by giving f prime of x a denominator of g of x, which means I need to multiply top and bottom by g of x. Which will make this over g of x, so I can actually just write one common denominator and add on the numerator of this group of terms. There we go. Finally, isolate q prime of x, because that's what I'm trying to find here. It is being multiplied by g of x, so if I take the whole right hand side and left hand side and divide by g of x, then we will have isolated q prime of x. Remember that dividing by something is the same thing as multiplying by its reciprocal, or 1 over it. So I'll do that, and then I can simplify in one more step by actually multiplying these 2 fractions. The numerator times 1 gives me the same numerator, but in the denominator I'm going to get g of x squared. Now I've isolated q prime of x, which means I've found my derivative. And this is in fact the quotient rule. If q of x is equal to f of x divided by g of x, to find the derivative of q of x, I need to do this. Now there's an interesting way of memorizing the quotient rule that I've seen some people use. If you think of q of x as a function of high divided by low, then I've seen people memorize q prime of x by saying low d high minus high d low divided by low low. So what this means is take the function in the denominator, low, multiply it by d high, which means derivative of high, minus the function in the numerator, high, times the derivative of low, d low, and then divide it all by low times low, which is the denominator times itself. Low d high minus high d low over low low. Some people use it, and if it helps you, then go for it.